Undeterred by rejection from the Air Force because of his phenomenally poor eyesight, it's true, Jar built his own high-fidelity fighter jet simulator. After acquiring a real Hornet windshield in 2003, Jar made the obvious decision to build a full-size F-18 cockpit in his garage. I mean, look at the skilled workmanship, just tremendous. 20 years later, he's still hard at work on his dream of being the best fighter pilot the world has ever seen. Believe me. Let's check in on Jar and see what he's up to today.
I built this landing gear panel from scratch over 20 years ago. Back in my day, there were no USB cockpit panels available to purchase for your home flight simulator. That's a skateboard wheel. The jettison button pushed a lever arm with a foam earplug stuck to it to depress the L1 button on a PlayStation controller. The return rubber bands have dried out and broken. The gear lever made contact with the R1 button, which was assigned to the G key. This screw has not moved for 20 years. Here you can see the PlayStation controller with lower arms cut off to fit inside the plywood mounting box. Even the USB cable is looking ancient. I couldn't use my favourite screwdriver, so I had to swap it out for a shorter one. These two screws are going into a hardwood block mounted to the back of the panel of takeoff. It's jammed in hard against the outboard wall, so it does not move when the levers are moved. All installed and has been used for a few weeks. I still need to figure out a new panel to place above it. If you have any ideas, please let me know in the comments. This is the version 1 of the panel of takeoff, which is no longer available new, but I found this one on eBay. The Hornet's specific switches are set to default assignments except for the panel light dial. On the real F-18, it's over here on the right console. Up here on the right vertical panel is the HMD dial, which I use way more often, as this dial turns on your joint helmet mounted queuing system, or JHAMIX. I have reassigned this to the HMD dial and use it every mission. To the left is the hook bypass switch. Anytime you are airborne with the landing gear down, the AOA indexer lamps will illuminate to indicate your landing approach angle of attack. The hook bypass switch controls if the AOA lights are steady or flashing. When set to carrier and with the landing gear down, the AOA lighted symbols flash if the arresting hook is up. This is a warning to extend your tail hook. Selecting field disables the flashing so you can land in an airfield with your hook up. If the arresting hook is lowered or aircraft power is removed, a solenoid releases the switch back to carrier. With the hook down, the solenoid will not permit you to select field. Above is the landing/taxi light on-off switch, which turns the light on the nose gear on and off. To the right is anti-skid. Anti-skid is there to prevent you locking the wheels at high speed on a runway and blowing the tires. Anti-skid will release the brakes if the speed of one main wheel is 40% of the other main wheel. Anti-skid is disabled once you slow to 35 knots, and the whole system is fully disabled below 10 knots. You never brake at high speed on the Supercarrier flight deck, so this switch is selected off at sea. Only selected on for runway operations. This jettison dial is tricky to click on with a mouse in the VR cockpit. With master arm on, you can accidentally hit the jettison button when you are just trying to turn the dial. Having it on the PTO makes selecting stores much easier. It's a fun switch and button to use, and has a good solid feel to it. Right of that is a good, solid hook lever. This extends the tail hook. It's mounted on the right console in the real jet, but it's cool being able to use my left hand to move it instead of taking my hand off the stick. This little analog joystick can be pushed in to click the park brake on and off. I never use this, and I haven't worked out a use for the little joystick yet either. I didn't like the big silver levers on these metal rotaries, so I cut them off with a hacksaw. This one I have assigned to open and close the canopy. It's now very hard to move, so opening the canopy is now a super deliberate act. I can't accidentally select it and lose my canopy in flight. Shout out to Barney. I haven't found a use for this other lever and glad it's out of the way and can't interfere with the gear lever. The gear handle is my favourite on the panel of takeoff. It feels just like the real Boeing Super Hornet sim I flew years ago. Same amount of travel and a solid action. According to NATOPS, 2 conditions must be met before the gear can be raised. The aircraft must sense that weight is off all 3 landing gear and the launch bar must be retracted. When these conditions are met, the landing gear is raised by moving the handle up. Moving the handle down lowers the gear. The handle is always illuminated red because I don't use the Sim App Pro software. I like to be able to change things on the fly in-game, so I tend not to use programming software if I don't need to. Full-time illumination also makes it easier to find through the VR headset nose gap. Rolling up to the cat, the director is making the signal to spread the wings. Per NATOPS, to spread the wings, rotate the wingfold handle clockwise to spread. To lock the wings after they are fully spread, push the handle in. Wait 5 seconds after the wings are fully spread before placing the wingfold handle to lock. The director has given me the brakes on, so we press the toe brake. The director is now signalling me to extend the launch bar on the nose landing gear, which is this switch on the panel of takeoff. When the launch bar is fully extended, it is held against the deck by the deck load control springs. The catapult crew are installing the holdback bar. The control springs allow vertical movement of the launch bar during taxi. As the aircraft is taxied forward, the launch bar actuates the buffer hook up, which engages the holdback bar. The launch bar drops over the shuttle and is held captive in the extended position as the shuttle is tensioned. We are under tension and the launch bar is locked into the catapult shuttle. The director is signalling to move the launch bar switch back to retract. There's a note in NATOPS that says, failure to place the launch bar switch to retract may result in hydraulic seal failure. And finally, we check the flap switch. Full flap is for landing. Select half flap for takeoff. Select auto for normal flight. Let's go back to half for takeoff. The shooter is now getting pumped up for the launch. Now let's see the WINWING panel of takeoff version 1 live in action during a Supercarrier TRAPZ assault.
On the flight deck, it's time for the Event 1 early go. It's time for all non-essential personnel to get off the flight deck. All essential personnel, make sure you have your goggles down, helmet on, sleeves rolled down, remove all chocolate chains and loose gear about the deck. Time to start up the Event 1 early go. Start them up.
You will soon see I didn't do a proper pre-flight of the panel switch positions before takeoff, which resulted in a bit of a kerfuffle on launch. Enjoy the flight, and thanks for watching, everyone.
I have no command for LSO.
So just assign one.
know when I bring it up, there's nothing in here for LSO at all. When I do the search, there's nothing.
I'm having a look. Metals, steam flight Flata 2, commencing from point 3. Ready deck.
So Bosk, I leave my throttles at 85, so I've gone at 85 and I put 5 degrees nose down pitch, and I line up 10 degrees to the right of downwind course 060, so it was 070.
And in the overhead, you've got a green deck.
And then when I get to about 4.2, I crank it over to 45 degree angle of bank. I'm not touching the throttles except for to talk to you. When I see 800, I'm going to just give a little pull on the nose to level out. So we're 4.6 from the carrier, so we're still inside the 5 mile, or is it 5.2, 5 mile limit? All right, I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm not touching the throttles. We've got 85 on both engines. And you look badass on my wing. Look at that. That is sweet.
Yep, I'm just trying to keep your head lined up with your missile tip.
Excellent, brother. All right, and I'm looking at the course line, and I'm trying to figure out, am I going to come out?
Good evening, Sting TV fans. Welcome back to another Friday night carrier
It's going to
fight.
flatten it out a little bit because we're a
We're
bit
just
tight.
doing landings for your
So
entertainment.
I'll count you down when I go to
Hopefully,
burner,
what we
boss.
have as Jar 300 leads Bosco 305 into the break.
Oh, here we go.
A
Coming
bit
around to
of
240.
jestering going on. Hopefully we'll get a lot of belly. Let's see what they bring.
All right, and I'm going to hit the burners as soon as we go 240. Burners on. Sorry about that, buddy. It was a bit of a messy final
good?
bit.
Oh, here we go.
Three
Here we
in the
go. Here we go. Hit the fantail. And oh, the brake. Not quite belly, but I can almost see the Rolex on his watch. I think it says 314.
Get it, brother.
Beam all down Hornet.
Three-quarter mile, call the ball.
300 Hornet ball, 5.2.
Roger ball.
You're on and on.
In close.
Ball to bolter.
Oh,
bolter,
bolter. And it looked like it's probably about 4-1.
And I'm just in the downwind right now. About to fly right past you.
I see you.
A beam all down Hornet.
Three-quarter mile, call the ball.
305 Hornet ball, 5.0.
Roger ball.
Little right for lineup.
In close. Foul deck. 3/4 mile, call the ball.
300 quarter ball, 4.8.
Roger ball.
Little left for lineup.
In close. Fouled it.
3-wire.
Nice 3-wire.
Thanks, pals.
I'm not getting deck crew here. Hey, what was my wire, by the way?
I think he had a 3-wire. He had a 3-wire.
Sweet.
Sweet, bro. Good scores.
Jar had a 3-wire. So Boss got a 4 3-wire. I don't know.
Sweet. Alright, now I'm going to raise my canopy with this dial and shut down my engines.